We're live. So,
Submerge the device in liquid, even partially. Most
this should be fun. I should probably leave for this, huh? This seems kind of dangerous. You guys can do this without me. Uh-oh. Oh. Let's do it. Yeah.
Begone, thought.
Hello. Is there grapefruit in real life? Yeah, it's me. I'm that. How should... Oh, this is... This is kind of amazing and kind of dumb. Are you guys ready for this? Oh man. What a great ending. Alright, we're not done though. That's it. Near.
同感です。現実が辛いです。同感です。
Join me for an adventure, oh, much like any other, with twists and turns and plot devices, words and wonder. Now my advice is listen close. What makes this story different is the teller and the told. This one's ours and it's waiting to unfold. So come be merry with me. Yeah. Oh, come be merry with me. Come on, be merry with me. Join me for an adventure, oh, much like any other, with twists and turns and plot devices, words and wonder. Now my advice is listen close. What makes this story different is the teller and the told. This one's ours and it's waiting to unfold.
Well, welcome to another edition of the Merry Mitch Show. Hey guys, how's it going? Hope everybody's had a dandy day. What about a dab push-up? I don't know if we're ready for those yet. Goodness, that might be a little too much for me to handle. Shoot, how is everybody? Are we feeling good? Did we wake up feeling good? How were the day's proceedings? I want to know. Tell me about it. My day was pretty okay. Started off with just working on my song. I ate some granola this morning. Sadly, it was the last of my granola. It's just something I'm gonna have to accept. Doing okay. How you doing? Shoot, man. Yeah, I'm doing okay. Had a bit of a weird day. An uneasy one, I would say. But and as you guys may have guessed by the title, we are not doing D&D tonight. that's been the main brunt of my sorrow today. But hey, it's something that I'll certainly accept, and I pray you guys will be able to do the same. In an effort to still do something cool tonight, I figured something that I felt would bring up my own spirits would be to go ahead and start the next book in the series. Yo, Roadhog, what kind of traffic we got over there? You say what? We got all kinds of traffic up in here. Like there's just one buggy in front of me. He ain't even moving. um, Thank you, Omni. I hadn't even thought about that. I threw on a hat today. By golly. I know I've only ever appeared in a beanie before, but this is one of my favorite hats. My mom got it for me. It says wag more, bark less. Larry the Cable Guy. Shoot, man. Alas, it is still only I, though. Still the same old Mitch. Get her done. Yeah, and speaking of getting her done, we went ahead and finished a diggity darn book this past Tuesday. I appreciate you guys letting me take off Wednesday. I think from here on, even if I do have the night free, I think it will be best for me to take Wednesdays off. Take one day out of the week for me to recoup and re-energize, you know. It is the hump day after all, and that is one of the hardest days. Yeah. Well, guys, today we get to approach this sucker right here. It's time to do the commemorative removing of the plastic. Look at that. What is that? Is that a burgundy, or what kind of red is that? It might look a little bit purplish in the light, but I believe it's like a dirty red. Hyperion. Very nice. Very nice. Also, a little bit of a note, sadly it will not be revealed tonight, but I went ahead and finished the Lost Sons Archive intro theme. I've titled it A Sky's Mistake. It turned out really well. There's one part in it that I'm not quite satisfied with, and since I do have another week to work on it, I may go in and try to do some edits, but it has come out so cool. Super happy with the composition of it. I'd say the vocal recording could be better, but I only have, you know, my Samson G Track Pro over there in the corner. So I can only record at the quality that I can record. But it's a pretty darn cool one. Pretty proud of it. But alas, we must wait till next week for it to be unveiled. But look forward to that, guys. Yeah, I was gonna mention that, but I figured you might have just I don't know, done it on purpose or something. What are Fridays usually? Fridays are normally Fantasy Friday, where we take a look at tales of gallivanting goons and goblins and griffins and and the like. We've read in it. We've read this story called Monster before. We've read A Boy and His Goblin. it's a pretty fun night. I recalled that, hey, one of the genres I hadn't given any any thought to was the fantasy genre, and there's a whole lot of stuff in there. Yeah, horror is Simp Saturday now. It used to be Fridays though, Freaky Friday. But I decided to give fantasy its own day. You're getting a double chamber ocarina. Dude, what? 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 I want to look this up. I have no idea what this thing would look like. Oh! What in the world? That's sick. Oh, this one looks awesome. What kind of style are you gonna go for? Still the like original classic Zelda style, or gonna go for I don't know, a different kind? There seems to be a lot of different makes of it. Fascinating. The Zelda one got the Triforce on it. Nice. I think I see the one you're talking about. Dude, it's got so many holes on it. Looks like something from the bottom of the sea. I dig it. Nice. And also, I don't know if I expressed it well enough in text form, but Sonor, dude, the fact that you're taking the time to learn how to play a song that I wrote is I don't know, it's something special, and I wanted to thank you for the effort put behind that. I think it's really cool of you. Well, guys, say we go ahead and get on with the reading. Dude, this thing has never before been opened. Ooh. To Becky, who always leads me through the maze. Got another 20 chapters in this one. And it's near the same length. So, let's see if we can read through a few of the beginning ones here. So, last we left off in the Percy Jackson series, our heroes, after a clever and difficult bout with Atlas, the general Titan, who at one point held up the sky, after fighting with him and Luke and the army of Kronos, in an epic battle, Artemis and Percy managed to... Oh yeah, sorry. God. May, this is spoiler time. Forgot to throw that out there. My bad. I'm gonna give it a moment. Definitely go ahead and mute it now if you are not one to want spoilers. Okay. After tricking Atlas into holding the sky up once again and trapping him underneath the gravity of the sky, they got out just in time, being pursued by the army of Kronos. Thalia seemingly had killed Luke by tossing him off a high cliff and leaving his crumpled body on the brittle floor. It was later discovered that Luke was in fact not dead. And that was revealed by Athena, I believe. Annabeth had a feeling that that was the case, but I believe Athena was the one that confirmed that. They made their way on Pegasus' back all the way over to Mount Olympus, where there was a council held, since it was the winter solstice, to decide what to do with the Heliotaurus. I believe that's what it was called. Yeah, the Heliotaurus, that the half eel, half cow, that if sacrificed would give the demigod who did that the power to overthrow Olympus. As to what to do with that and what to do with the heroes. The what's the word for it? Illicit sons and daughters? The not illegitimate, but the son of Poseidon and the daughter of Thalia that were never meant to happen. What to do with these two, because in the prophecy it says that one of them is meant to either save Olympus or overthrow it. So a lot of the gods believe, hey, it would just be safer to be rid of these things. Be rid of these children. They're not meant to be here anyways. Athena especially hearkening on the point, much to Annabeth's dismay. But after a well-fought argument from Artemis saying that these heroes do not deserve death, they deserve to be celebrated, Zeus relents and allows Percy and Thalia to live another day. The other thing that was offered up by Artemis was that with Zoe Nightshade's passing, she would need a new right-hand maiden at her side to help guide the huntresses. And she asked Thalia. Percy really thought it was going to be Annabeth, but no, she asked Thalia. And so Thalia joined, and now she will never turn 16. Thus, taking away the chance that she would be the one told of in the prophecy. Which is wild. Percy wasn't entirely sure how to feel about that. They then had the celebration on Olympus. Percy chickening out of telling Annabeth what he actually wanted to tell her before. And having a brief encounter with Athena, where Athena basically told him, hey, I don't like you, and I don't like how close you are with my daughter. And pointing out his fatal flaw, which is his dedication to his friends. That's a tough one. That's not a fatal flaw you want to get rid of, but alas, it can be fatal nonetheless. When they returned to Camp Half-Blood, Percy had to break the news to Nico that Bianca, Nico's sister, was dead and gone. Nico, to say it lightly, did not take it well. Skeletons showed up, the ones that had been pursuing our heroes throughout the whole book. And Nico, in his bout of fury, created a crater in the earth, underneath the skeletons, and dropped them down to hell. And then Nico ran, leaving Percy sitting there realizing who exactly Nico is. And who the statue that Bianca lost her life over represented. Hades. Nico and Bianca D'Angelo are the son and daughter of Hades. And then we finished off, after that banger of a reveal, we finish off with yet another big cliffhanger, which was Grover running into the room, his eyes wild after drinking cup after cup of coffee, yelling something about hearing something from Pan, the old power over nature. and the deity that the satyrs consider to be above all others. And all Pan had said was, "I await you." And that's where it left off last time. Whew. With the loss of some, we go into this next book heavy-hearted, but ready to see where the adventure takes us. So, this is Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth by Rick Riordan. Read by Mary Mitch. 1. I battle the cheerleading squad. The last thing I wanted to do on my summer break was blow up another school. But there I was Monday morning, the first week of June, sitting in my mom's car in front of Good High School on East 81st Street. Good was this big brownstone building overlooking the East River. A bunch of BMWs and Lincoln Town cars were parked out front. Staring up at the fancy stone archway, I wondered how long it would take me to get kicked out of this place. Just relax. My mom didn't sound relaxed. It's only an orientation tour. And remember, dear, this is Paul's school. So try not to, destroy it. Yes. Paul Blowfus, my mom's boyfriend, was standing out front, greeting future ninth graders as they came up the steps. With his salt and pepper hair, denim clothes, and leather jacket, he reminded me of a TV actor. But he was just an English teacher. See you, May. He'd managed to convince Good High School to accept me for ninth grade, despite the fact that I'd gotten kicked out of every school I'd ever attended. I tried to warn him it wasn't a good idea, but he wouldn't listen. I looked at my mom. You haven't told him the truth about me, have you? Or you haven't told him the truth about me, have you? She tapped her fingers nervously on the wheel. She was dressed up for a job interview. Her best blue dress and high-heeled shoes. I thought we should wait, she admitted. So we don't scare him away. I'm sure orientation will be fine, Percy. It's only one morning. Great, I mumbled. I can get expelled before I even start the school year. Think positive. Tomorrow you're off to camp. After orientation, you've got your date. It's not a date, I protested. It's just Annabeth, Mom. Jeez. She's coming all the way from camp to meet you. Well, yeah. You're going to the movies. Yeah. Just the two of you. Mom! She held up her hands in surrender, but I could tell she was trying hard not to smile. You'd better get inside, dear. I'll see you tonight. I was about to get out of the car when I looked over at the steps of the school. Paul Blowfist was greeting a girl with frizzy red hair. She wore a maroon t-shirt and ratty jeans decorated with marker drawings. When she turned, I caught a glimpse of her face, and the hairs on my arms stood straight up. Percy? My mom asked. What's wrong? Nothing, I stammered. Does the school have a side entrance? Down the block on the right. Why? I'll see you later. My mom started to say something, but I got out of the car and ran, hoping the red-headed girl wouldn't see me. What was she doing here? Not even my luck could be this bad. Yeah, right. I was about to find out my luck could get a whole lot worse. Sneaking into orientation didn't work out too well. 2 cheerleaders in purple and white uniforms were standing at the side entrance, waiting to ambush freshmen. "Hi!" They smiled, which I figured was the first and last time any cheerleaders would be that friendly to me. One was blonde with icy blue eyes. The other was African American with dark curly hair like Medusa's, and believe me, I know what I'm talking about. Both girls had their names stitched in cursive on their uniforms, but with my dyslexia, the words looked like meaningless spaghetti. "Welcome to Good," the blonde girl said. "You are so going to love it." But as she looked me up and down, her expression said something more like, "Ew, who is this loser?" The other girl stepped uncomfortably close to me. I studied the stitching on her uniform and made out a Kelly. She smelled like roses and something else I recognized from riding lessons at camp. The scent of freshly washed horses. It was a weird smell for a cheerleader. Maybe she owned a horse or something? Anyway, she stood so close, I got the feeling she was going to try to push me down the steps. "What's your name, Fish?" "Fish?" "Freshman." Percy." The girls exchanged looks. "Oh, Percy Jackson," the blonde one said. "We've been waiting for you." That sent a major "uh-oh" chill down my back. They were blocking the entrance, smiling in a not very friendly way. My hand crept instinctively toward my pocket, where I kept my lethal ballpoint pen riptide. Then another voice came from inside the building. "Percy!" It was Paul Blofus, somewhere down the hallway. I'd never been so glad to hear his voice. The cheerleaders backed off. I was so anxious to get past them, I accidentally kneed Kelly in the thigh. Clang! Her leg made a hollow, metallic sound, like I'd just hit a flagpole. "Ow!" she muttered. "Watch it, Fish." I glanced down, but her leg looked like a regular old leg. I was too freaked out to ask questions. I dashed into the hall, the cheerleaders laughing behind me. "There you are," Paul told me. "Welcome to Good." "Hey, Paul. Mr. Blofus?" I glanced back, but the weird cheerleaders had disappeared. "Percy, you look like you've seen a ghost." "Yeah, Paul clapped me on the back. "Listen, I know you're nervous, but don't worry. We get a lot of kids here with ADHD and dyslexia. The teachers know how to help." I almost wanted to laugh. If only ADHD and dyslexia were my biggest worries. I mean, I knew Paul was trying to help. But if I told him the truth about me, he'd either think I was crazy, or he'd run away screaming. Those cheerleaders, for instance, I had a bad feeling about them. Then I looked down the hall, and I remembered I had another problem. The red-headed girl I'd seen on the front steps was just coming in the main entrance. "Don't notice me," I prayed. She noticed me. Her eyes widened. "Where's the orientation?" I asked Paul. "The gym. That way, but bye. Percy?" he called, but I was already running. I thought I'd lost her. A bunch of kids were heading for the gym, and soon I was just another of 300 14-year-olds all crammed into the bleachers. A marching band played an out-of-tune fight song that sounded like somebody hitting a bag of cats with a metal baseball bat. Older kids, probably student council members, stood up front modeling the good school uniform and looking all, "Hey, we're cool." Teachers milled around, smiling and shaking hands with students. The walls of the gym were plastered with big purple and white banners that said, "Welcome, future freshmen. Good is good. We're all family." And a bunch of other happy slogans that pretty much made me want to throw up. None of the other freshmen looked thrilled to be here. I mean, coming to orientation in June, and school doesn't even start until September, is not cool. But at Good, we prepare to excel early. At least that's what the brochure said. The marching band stopped playing. A guy in a pinstriped suit came to the microphone and started talking, but the sound echoed around the gym, so I had no idea what he was saying. He might have been gargling. Someone grabbed my shoulder. "What are you doing here?" It was her, my red-headed nightmare. "Rachel Elizabeth Dare," I said. Her jaw dropped, like she couldn't believe I had the nerve to remember her name. "And you're Percy somebody. I didn't get your full name last December when you tried to kill me." "Look, I didn't... What are you doing here?" "Same as you, I guess. Orientation." "You live in New York?" "What, you thought I lived at Hoover Dam?" It had never occurred to me. Whenever I thought about her, and I'm not saying I thought about her, she just, crossed my mind from time to time, okay? I always figured she lived in the Hoover Dam area, since that's where I'd met her. We'd spent maybe 10 minutes together, during which time I'd accidentally swung a sword at her. She'd saved my life, and I'd run away chased by a band of supernatural killing machines. You know, your typical chance meeting. Some guy behind us whispered, "Hey, shut up! The cheerleaders are talking." "Hi, guys!" The girl bubbled into the microphone. It was the blonde I'd seen at the entrance. "My name is Tammy. And this is, Kelly." Kelly did a cartwheel. Next to me, Rachel yelped like someone had stuck her with a pin. A few kids looked over and snickered, but Rachel just stared at the cheerleaders in horror. Tammy didn't seem to notice the outburst. She started talking about all the great ways we could get involved during our freshman year. "Run," Rachel told me. "Now." "Why?" Rachel didn't explain. She pushed her way to the edge of the bleachers, ignoring the frowning teachers and grumbling kids she was stepping on. I hesitated. Tammy was explaining how we were about to break into small groups and tour the school. Kelly caught my eye and gave me an amused smile, like she was waiting to see what I'd do. It would look bad if I left right now. Paul Blowfist was down there with the rest of the teachers. He'd wonder what was wrong. Then I thought about Rachel Elizabeth Dare, and the special ability she'd shown last winter at Hoover Dam. She'd been able to see a group of security guards who weren't guards at all, who weren't even human. My heart pounding, I got up and followed her out of the gym. I found Rachel in the band room. She was hiding behind a bass drum in the percussion section. "Get over here," she said. "Keep your head down." I felt pretty silly hiding behind a bunch of bongos, but I crouched beside her. "Did they follow you?" Rachel asked. "You mean the cheerleaders?" She nodded nervously. I don't think so, I said. What are they? What did you see? Her green eyes were bright with fear. She had a sprinkle of freckles on her face that reminded me of constellations. Her maroon t-shirt read Harvard Art Depot. You wouldn't believe me. Yeah, I would. I promised. I know you can see through the mist. The what? The mist. It's like this veil that hides the way things really are. Some mortals are born with the ability to see through it, like you. She studied me carefully. You did that at Hoover Dam. Oh, you did that at Hoover Dam. You called me a mortal, like you're not. I felt like punching a bongo. What was I thinking? I could never explain. I shouldn't even try. Tell me, she begged. You know what it means. All these horrible things I see? Look, this is going to sound weird. Do you know anything about Greek myths? Like the Minotaur and the Hydra? Yeah, just try not to say those names when I'm around, okay? And the Furies, she said, warming up. And the Sirens, and... Okay! I looked around the band hall, sure that Rachel was going to make a bunch of bloodthirsty nasties pop out of the walls. But we were still alone. Down the hallway, I heard a mob of kids coming out of the gymnasium. They were starting the tour groups. We didn't have long to talk. All those monsters, I said. All the Greek gods. They're real. I knew it! I would have been more comfortable if she'd called me a liar, but Rachel looked like I'd just confirmed her worst suspicion. You don't know how hard it's been, she said. For years, I thought I was going crazy. I couldn't tell anybody. I couldn't... Her eyes narrowed. Wait, who are you? I mean, really. I'm not a monster. Well, I know that. I could see if you were. You look like you, but you're not human, are you? I swallowed. Even though I'd had 3 years to get used to who I was, I'd never talked about it with a regular mortal before. I mean, except for my mom, but she already knew. I don't know why, but I took the plunge. I'm a half-blood, I said. I'm half human. A half what? Just then, Tammy and Kelly stepped into the band room. The doors slammed shut behind them. There you are, Percy Jackson, Tammy said. It's time for your orientation. You're horrible, Rachel gasped. Tammy and Kelly were still wearing their purple and white cheerleader costumes, holding pom-poms from the rally. What do they really look like? I asked, but Rachel seemed too stunned to answer. Oh, forget her. Tammy gave me a brilliant smile and started walking towards us. Kelly stayed by the doors, blocking our exit. They'd trapped us. I knew we'd have to fight our way out, but Tammy's smile was so dazzling, it distracted me. Her blue eyes were beautiful, and the way her hair swept over her shoulders... Percy? Rachel warned. I said something really intelligent, like, Tammy was getting closer. She held out her pom-poms. Percy! Rachel's voice seemed like to be coming from a long way away. Snap out of it! It took all my willpower, but I got my pen out of my pocket and uncapped it. Riptide grew into a 3-foot-long bronze sword, its blade glowing with a faint golden light. Tammy's smile turned to a sneer. "Oh, come on," she protested. "You don't need that. How about a kiss instead?" She smelled like roses and clean animal fur. A weird, but somehow intoxicating smell. Rachel pinched my arm hard. "Percy, she wants to bite you! Look at her!" "She's just jealous." Tammy looked back at Kelly. "May I, mistress?" Kelly was still blocking the door, licking her lips hungrily. "Go ahead, Tammy. You're doing fine." Tammy took another step forward, but I leveled the tip of my sword at her chest. "Get back," she snarled. "Freshman," she said with disgust. "This is our school, half-blood. We feed on whom we choose." Then she began to change. The color drained out of her face and arms. Her skin turned as white as chalk. Her eyes completely red. Her teeth grew into fangs. "A vampire!" I stammered. Then I noticed her legs. Below the cheerleader's skirt, her left leg was brown and shaggy, with a donkey's hoof. Her right leg was shaped like a human leg, but it was made of bronze. A vampire with..." "Don't mention the legs," Tammy snapped. "It's rude to make fun." She advanced on her weird, mismatched legs. She looked totally bizarre, especially with the pom-poms. But I couldn't laugh, not facing those red eyes and sharp fangs. "A vampire, you say?" "That silly legend was based on us, you fool. We are Imposi, servants of Hecate." Demi edged closer to me. "Dark magic formed us from animal bronze and ghost. We exist to feed on the blood of young men. Now come, give me a kiss." She bared her fangs. I was so paralyzed I couldn't drum at the Imposi's head. The demon hissed and batted the drum away. It went rolling along the aisles between music stands, its springs rattling against the drumhead. Rachel threw a xylophone, but the demon just swatted that away too. "I don't usually kill girls," Tammy growled. "But for you, mortal, I'll make an exception. Your eyesight is a little too good." She lunged at Rachel. "No!" I slashed with Riptide. Tammy tried to dodge my blade, but I sliced straight through her cheerleader uniform. And with a horrible wail, she exploded into dust all over Rachel. Rachel coughed. She looked like she'd just had a sack of flour dumped on her head. "Gross!" "Monsters do that," I said. "Sorry." "You killed my trainee!" Kelly yelled. "You need a lesson in school spirit, half-blood." Then she too began to change. Her wiry hair turned to flickering flames. Her eyes turned red. She grew fangs. She loped towards us, her brass foot and hoof clopping unevenly on the bandroom floor. "I am Senior Emposa," she growled. "No hero has bested me in 1,000 years." "Yeah?" I said. "Then you're overdue." Kelly was a lot faster than Tammy. She dodged my first strike and rolled into the brass section, knocking over a row of trombones with a mighty crash. Rachel scrambled out of the way. I put myself between her and the imposa. Kelly circled us, her eyes going from me to the sword. "Such a pretty little blade," she said. "What a shame it stands between us." Her form shimmered, sometimes a demon, sometimes a pretty cheerleader. I tried to keep my mind focused, but it was really distracting. "Poor dear," Kelly chuckled. "You don't even know what's happening, do you? Soon your pretty little camp, in flames, your friends made slaves to the Lord of Time, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. It would be merciful to end your life now, before you have to see that." From down the hall I heard voices. A tour group was approaching. A man was saying something about locker combinations. The imposa's eyes lit up. "Excellent! We're about to have company." She picked up a tuba and threw it at me. Rachel and I ducked. The tuba sailed over our heads and crashed through the window. The voices in the hall died down. "Percy!" Kelly shouted, pretending to be scared. "Why did you throw that?" I was too surprised to answer. Kelly picked up a music stand and swiped a row of clarinets and flutes. Chairs and musical instruments crashed to the floor. "Stop it!" I said. People were tromping down the hall now, coming in our direction. "Time to greet our visitors." Kelly bared her fangs and ran for the door. I charged at her with Riptide. I had to stop her from hurting the mortals. "Percy, don't!" Rachel shouted, but I hadn't realized what Kelly was up to until it was too late. Kelly flung open the doors. Paul Blowfish and a bunch of freshmen stepped back in shock. I raised my sword. At the last second, the imposa turned toward me like a cowering victim. "Oh no, please!" she cried. I couldn't stop my blade. It was already in motion. Just before the celestial bronze hit her, Kelly exploded into flames like a Molotov cocktail. Waves of fire splashed over everything. I'd never seen a monster do that before, but I didn't have time to worry about it. I backed into the band room as flames engulfed the doorway. "Percy." Paul Blowfish looked completely stunned, staring at me across the fire. "What have you done?" Kids screamed and ran down the hall. The fire alarm wailed. Ceiling sprinklers hissed to life. In the chaos, Rachel tugged on my sleeve. "You have to get out of here!" She was right. The school was in flames, and I'd be held responsible. Mortals could not see through the mist properly. To them, it would look like I'd just attacked a helpless cheerleader in front of a group of witnesses. There was no way I could explain it. I turned from Paul and sprinted for the broken band room window. I burst out of the alley. onto East 81st Street and ran straight into Annabeth. "Hey, you're out early," she laughed, grabbing my shoulders to keep me from tumbling into the street. "Watch where you're going, Seaweed Brain." For a split second, she was in a good mood and everything was fine. She was wearing jeans and an orange camp t-shirt and her clay bead necklace. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a ponytail. Her gray eyes sparkled. She looked like she was ready to catch a movie, have a cool afternoon hanging out together. Then Rachel Elizabeth Dare, still covered in monster dust, came charging out of the alley yelling, "Percy! Wait up!" Annabeth's smile melted. She stared at Rachel, then at the school. For the first time, she seemed to notice the black smoke and the ringing fire alarms. She frowned at me. "What did you do this time? And who is this?" "Oh, Rachel, Annabeth, Rachel. She's a friend, I guess." I wasn't sure what else to call Rachel. I mean, I barely knew her. I barely knew her, but after being in 2 life or death situations together, I couldn't just call her nobody. "Hi," Rachel said, then she turned to me. "You're in so much trouble, and you still owe me an explanation." Police sirens wailed on FDR Drive. "Percy," Annabeth said coldly, "we should go." "I want to know more about half-bloods," Rachel insisted, "and monsters, and this stuff about the gods." She grabbed my arm, whipped out a permanent marker, and wrote a phone number on my hand. "You're going to call me and explain, okay? You owe me that. Now get going." "But I'll make up some story," Rachel said. "I'll tell them it wasn't your fault. Just go." She ran back toward the school, leaving Annabeth and me in the street. Annabeth stared at me for a second. Then she turned and took off. "Hey!" I jogged after her. "There were these 2 Imposi," I tried to explain. "They were cheerleaders, see, and they said camp was going to burn, and—" "You told a mortal girl about half-bloods?" "She can see through the mist. She saw the monsters before I did." "So you told her the truth?" "She recognized me from Hoover Dam, so—" "You've met her before?" Last winter. But seriously, I barely know her." "She's kind of cute." I never thought about that." Annabeth kept walking toward York Avenue. "I'll deal with the school," I promised, anxious to change the subject. "Honest, it'll be fine." Annabeth wouldn't even look at me. "I guess our afternoon is off. We should get you out of here, now that the police will be searching for you." Behind us, smoke billowed up from Good High School. In the dark columns of ashes, I thought I could almost see a face. A she-demon with red eyes laughing at me. "Your pretty little camp in flames," Kelly had said. "Your friends made slaves to the Lord of Time." "You're right," I told Annabeth, my heart sinking. "We have to get to Camp Half-Blood. Now." Ooh. Golly, dude. Riordan knows how to kick off a book. Also, sorry about my roommate turning on a vacuum cleaner or something. I took that opportunity to take a sip of tea. I apologize for the interruption though. Well, guys, what do we think? Rachel Elizabeth there is a hoot. I think it'll take me a little while to develop her voice to the point that I'm satisfied with it, but I think I'm getting it down. And if I recall, I think I know where her story goes, and it's fascinating. Also, dude, Percy didn't even make it into the school year this time. He it might be best for him to just give up on on school. Am I the only one that thinks that? Or maybe give homeschool a try? And shoot, dude, his afternoon with Annabeth. They were gonna have a date, dude. What the heck? Freaking, what do you call them? Them's demon cheerleaders? Yeah, Emposi. Empasi. Do you think it's Emposi or Empasi? Suppose the difference isn't too big. Empasi. Hmm. Nice. Percy making it through a school year? Impossible. You kidding me? No, it does make sense though, especially the older he gets. I think some of you guys might know this, but the older a demigod gets, the especially if you're a kid of the big three, then the more you attract the monsters. Also, I imagine because a lot of the monsters are now finally banding together under Kronos and Luke, um, that affair that I'm imagining tales of how many monsters Percy has gibbed has probably gotten around. There may be a vendetta against him at this point. Hmm. Golly, dude. What did Mr. Blowfish see? What did that group of kids see? Do you think it was like him? I don't even know, dude. Because she apparently, like, the cheerleader erupted into flames. What did they see? Oh my goodness. Is Kronos the oops? He is the oops, dude. He's the big time oops. I feel like whenever Like if Luke does succeed in releasing Kronos, as that is his goal, he just releases Kronos and just goes, oops. Oh frick, dude, oops. I've been brain controlled this whole time. Oops. Oh, oops. Oh, major oops. Man, I forgot that Kronos was the Lord of Time. Yeah, wait, is that what you were gonna say, Sinor? I don't think that's a spoiler. Is Kronos the main antagonist? I think I would give, yeah, I would give that credit to him. He's not nearly as involved as Luke though. I'd say on more of a personal level, Luke is the main antagonist. But as for the biggest threat, definitely Kronos. Him being the Lord of Time is where we get words like chronological. Shoot. I had no freaking clue. Changed it to a C though, just to spite him. If Kronos is the Lord of Time, if he gets free, can he just be like, rewind, baby. Going back to when I get to eat my kids again. Saturn is the Roman equivalent to Kronos. Oh no. Senor, no. Senor. Why you be the bad guy? I cry. I feel like if I were anyone in this series, I don't know. Or if I got to be anyone, I feel like growing up I would have said Nico. when I was a preteen, I would have been like, "Oh, dude, I'm totally Nico. I'm edgy as heck. What up?" um, but nowadays, shoot, I don't know. I'd like to be in a position like Chiron, I think. Hey, what up, May? Welcome back. I don't even give a care. I don't even give a care, dude. I'm Nico D'Angelo. That's what he sounds like. That is obviously the voice that I've given him. If you guys aren't familiar. Dude, I'm excited to see Nico again in this series. Chiron is real nice, man. He's just a cool guy. He's just a cool dude. He's a cool horse guy. And I just think the idea of living for like over 1,000 years because of one's purpose is really cool, right? Because the deal is, right, he will be alive for as long as there are demigods to train. So he's alive and continues to live on because he was so passionate about what he was doing. I find that to be crazy admirable, man. You think it's scary? Shoot. I guess it might be, but I don't know. I would find it hard to think of a better means into immortality, right? And that way, like, I would know, hey, soon, whenever I'm no longer needed, I can pass on. I don't know. I feel like that would be a cool thing. Yeah. It would be a little bit spooky, especially like, I mean, consider Chiron has known about this prophecy for ages and ages, and has had to almost see the world come to an end, probably at least a few times. That would be kind of spooky. I'm not thinking in that grand of terms. But I guess if I did live long enough, I would see the world's end. That sounds spooky. That is spooky. Yeah. It's funny. I feel like immortality is something that is so heavily sought after, or is a concept that humans have wished for so long, right? Every time a a big three kid comes through camp, Chiron just visibly sweats. I bet, dude. His initial reaction to I don't know. His initial reaction to Percy was, well, ooh, that was before he knew that Percy was who he was. Keita, Keita, Keitan. Wait, Mitch. If you were a demigod, who would your parent be? Hmm. Hmm. I don't know. I feel like Hermes is an easy one to say because nearly, I don't know, a fair amount of kids could easily be, or a fair amount of people could easily be Hermes' kid. Um, maybe Apollo. Can it be Apollo, please, please, pretty please? I want Apollo. I want Apollo to be my dad. I wouldn't want him to replace my current dad, but if I had to have a god for a dad, I think that'd be sick. If it was if it was the mom, I think Athena would be cool. I like the idea of having um you know silvery blonde hair and gray eyes. That's just kind of tight. Aha! Hello. What's going on, cool cats? Apollo here. Writing limericks since day one, you know? Yeah, I don't like that either. I like the idea that she is the goddess of wisdom, but yeah, I don't know. She's a bit of a stickler. I like the idea of Aphrodite as well. Her whole concept of love trumps all is, I mean, something everybody can get behind, right? And if I'm a son of Aphrodite, I'm gonna be gorgeous. Good stuff. But I guess that's like those are who I want to be my parent. I don't know if like realistically, if I was still who I am today, who would be my parent. Not sure. Yeah, having all that wisdom don't leave much room for empathy. Yeah, if you get logical enough with things, start to lose the simp. A thee. Out of all the gods you know of, not just Greek, who would you have as a parent? Oh, not just Greek. Hmm. Shoot, I have to look into that. Not just Greek. I don't know about minor gods or other deities. Too much logos, not enough pathos, am I right? Holla, dude. I get you. I'll try to think about that during the break. I may or may not have an answer by the end of it. We'll see. Might do some research. Dagon. Dagon as a fish daddy. What is Dagon? You could swim real fast. Dagon. Sumerian is an ancient Mesopotamian and ancient Canaanite deity. He appears to have been worshipped as a fertility god in Ebla, Assyria, Ugarit, and among the Amorites. Dude, I like this photo. If you search it up in Google, the first photo that comes up is real good. Or sorry, it's the second in Google Images. There's some wicked fan art of it. Dang. Ooh, it's a little spooky. Not gonna lie. Ooh. Actually, I could show you guys. I'm still in the corner here. Oh goodness. Just in case Moot the Griffins comes up again. Let's see, how do I get rid of this? Ah, no. Oop, there it is. Yeah, this one here. That's a good one. Thinking of D&D deities too. That'd be cool. I like Bahamut. I don't know, the idea of having like a dragon god, a nice dragon deity, be cool. Then I could transform into a dragon. Rah! And I would be kind of like an embodiment of justice, I think. It'd be kind of neat. I could be like a Superman, a dragon Superman. Lovecraft did a story on him. That's why there's a bunch of fan art. I was about to say, these look like Lovecraftian horrors. Oh snap, somebody did it in, did a fan art cover of H.P. Lovecraft's Dagon in a, here, I'll show you. In the Dr. Seuss style. It's pretty cool. Nice. Alright guys, well, I am out of tea. So, and we've hit the hour and 20 mark, so let's go ahead and jump to the break. I may end a little bit early tonight. I have work tomorrow morning, and it's not my usual 12:30 shift. It's I gotta be there by like 8:45 latest, so I gotta be up super duper early. So I'm gonna go make myself some more sleepy time tea. And again, I've also had a bit of an uneasy day, so I think it would do me good to get off a little bit earlier, prep my lunch tomorrow and whatnot. But not yet. We will jump to the break, come back, read this next chapter, and then probably be ending after that. Okay, guys. as always, I'm going to suggest everybody stand up from their chairs. Stand up and stretch. Stretch your limbs. Stretch your limbs out, dude. It's good for you. Take a little walk down the hall. Get yourself some water, snacks, anything you might want as we continue on with this Jacksonian, Percy-ish adventure. Okay, much love, guys. Don't go nowhere, and keep till I return. Keep on swaying, wildflowers. It's about 25 past the hour now, so we'll be back no later than 35 past the hour. See you soon, guys. Be right back.
Until we accept reality, we can't make any progress.
It's a shame. I was comfortable there. It was all fun while it lasted, but What do I give? How do I live in this life of ours? All I know is that I take plenty from here under the stars. I won't revive, I won't relive. I accept what I've done and I forgive. What do I give? How do I live in this life of ours? All I know is that I take plenty from here under the stars. I won't revive, I won't relive. I accept what I've done and I forgive. What do I give? How do I live in this life of ours? All I know is that I take plenty from here under the stars. I won't revive, I won't relive. I accept what I've done and I forgive. Nebulous days lead me to ravenous haze. Nebulous days lead me to ravenous haze, which will block my gaze. Illusory ways make feelings that don't stay. In and out they face. Is it always that? My tangible wishes are just out of reach. Nebulous days lead me to ravenous haze, which will block my gaze. Illusory ways make feelings that don't stay. In and out they face. Is it always that? My intangible wishes are just out of reach.
やれやれ退屈だと言って何も行動せず刺激を求める割には挑戦しない
Feelings that don't stay. Feelings that don't stay. Feelings that don't stay.
いいかい埼玉市人生は当てのない旅だよ新しい景色を見るためには自分で道を切り開くしかないんだ
Is it always that? Is it always that? My intangible wishes are just out of reach. Are just out of reach. Is it always that? Is it always that?
Starting tomorrow, I'll look everyone in the eye. Starting tomorrow.
Until we accept reality, we can't make any progress.
Starting tomorrow.
Hello. Welcome back. Hope everybody had a real nice break. I myself had a pretty good one. I went and made myself some more sleepy time tea, so that I can, fall asleep early tonight. Yeah, I made some water and stretched a little, and now I am back, baby. How is everybody doing? Doing okay? Good, good. Okay is certainly better than not. Right on. Well, everybody go ahead and get cozy. Settle into your chairs and get ready for more Percy Jackson. So, this is Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth by Rick Riordan. 2. The underworld sends me a prank call. Nothing caps off the perfect morning like a long taxi ride with an angry girl. I tried to talk to Annabeth, but she was acting like I'd just punched her grandmother. All I managed to get out of her was that she'd had a monster-infested spring in San Francisco. She'd come back to camp twice since Christmas, but wouldn't tell me why. Which kind of ticked me off, because she hadn't even told me she was in New York. And she'd learned nothing about the whereabouts of Nico D'Angelo. Long story. Any word on Luke? I asked. She shook her head. I knew this was a touchy subject for her. Annabeth had always admired Luke, the former head counselor for Hermes who had betrayed us and joined the evil Titan Lord Kronos. She wouldn't admit it, but I knew she still liked him. When we'd fought Luke on Mount Tamalpais last winter, he'd somehow survived a 50-foot fall off of a cliff. Now, as far as I knew, he was still sailing around on his demon-infested cruise ship while his chopped-up Lord Kronos reformed bit by bit in a golden sarcophagus, biding his time till he had enough power to challenge the Olympian gods. In demigod speak, we call this a problem. Mount Tom is still overrun with monsters, Annabeth said. I didn't dare go close, but I don't think Luke is up there. I think I would know if he was. That didn't make me feel much better. What about Grover? He's at camp, she said. We'll see him today. Did he have any luck? I mean, with his search for Pan? Annabeth fingered her bead necklace, the way she does when she's worried. You'll see, she said, but she didn't explain. As we headed through Brooklyn, I used Annabeth's phone to call my mom. Half-bloods try not to use cell phones if we can avoid it, because broadcasting our voices is like sending up a flare to the monsters. Here I am! Please eat me now! But I figured this call was important. I left a message on our home voicemail, trying to explain what had happened at Good. I probably didn't do a very good job. I told my mom I was fine, she shouldn't worry, but I was going to stay at camp until things cooled down. I asked her to tell Paul Blowfist I was sorry. We rode in silence after that. The city melted away until we were off the expressway and rolling through the countryside of northern Long Island, past orchards, and wineries, and fresh produce stands. I stared at the phone number Rachel Elizabeth Dare had scrawled on my hand. I knew it was crazy, but I was tempted to call her. Maybe she could help me understand what the Imposa had been talking about. The camp burning, my friends imprisoned, and why had Kelly exploded into flames? I knew monsters never truly died. Eventually, maybe weeks, months, or years from now, Kelly would reform out of the primordial nastiness seething in the underworld. But still, monsters didn't usually let themselves get destroyed so easily. If she really was destroyed. The taxi exited on Route 25A. We headed through the woods along the north shore until a low ridge of hills appeared on our left. Annabeth told the driver to pull over on Farm Road, 3.141, at the base of Half-Blood Hill. The driver frowned. "There ain't nothing here, miss. You sure you want out?" "Yes, please." Annabeth handed him a roll of mortal cash, and the driver decided not to argue. Annabeth and I hiked to the crest of the hill. The young guardian dragon was dozing, coiled around the pine tree, but he lifted his coppery head as we approached and let Annabeth scratch under his chin. Steam hissed out of his nostrils like from a tea kettle, and he went cross-eyed with pleasure. "Hey, Peleus," Annabeth said. "Keeping everything safe?" The last time I'd seen the dragon, he'd been 6 feet long. Now he was twice that, and as thick as the tree itself. Above his head, on the lowest branch of the pine tree, the golden fleece shimmered, its magic protecting the camp's borders from invasion. The dragon seemed relaxed, like everything was okay. Below us, Camp Half-Blood looked peaceful. Green fields, forest, shiny white Greek buildings. The 4-story farmhouse we called the Big House sat proudly in the midst of the strawberry fields. To the north, past the beach, the Long Island Sound glittered in the sunlight. Still, something felt wrong. There was a tension in the air, as if the hill itself were holding its breath, waiting for something bad to happen. We walked down into the valley and found the summer session in full swing. Most of the campers had arrived last Friday, so I already felt left out. The satyrs were playing their pipes in the strawberry fields, making the plants grow with woodland magic. Campers were having flying horseback lessons, swooping over the woods on their Pegasi. Smoke rose from the forges, and hammers rang as kids made their own weapons for arts and crafts. The Athena and Demeter teams were having a chariot race around the track. And over at the canoe lake, some kids in a Greek trireme were fighting a large ocean sea serpent. A typical day at camp. "I need to talk to Clarice," Annabeth said. I stared at her, as if she'd just said, "I need to eat a really large, smelly boot." "What for?" Clarice from the Aries cabin was one of my least favorite people. She was a mean, ungrateful bully. Her dad, the war god, wanted to kill me. She tried to beat me to a pulp on a regular basis. Other than that, she was great. "We've been working on something," Annabeth said. "I'll see you later." "Working on what?" Annabeth glanced toward the forest. "I'll tell Chiron you're here," she said. He'll want to talk to you before the hearing. What hearing? But she jogged down the path toward the archery field without looking back. Yeah, I muttered. Great talking with you too. As I made my way through camp, I said hi to some of my friends. In the big house's driveway, Connor and Travis Stoll from the Hermes cabin were hot-wiring the camp's SUV. Selena Beauregard, the head counselor for Aphrodite, waved at me from her Pegasi as she flew past. I looked for Grover, but I didn't see him. Finally, I wandered into a sword arena, where I usually go when I'm in a bad mood. Practicing always calms me down. Maybe that's because swordplay is one thing I actually understand. I walked into the amphitheater, and my heart almost stopped. In the middle of the arena floor, with its back to me, was the biggest hellhound I'd ever seen. I mean, I've seen some pretty big hellhounds. One the size of a rhino tried to kill me when I was 12. But this hellhound was bigger than a tank. I had no idea how it had gotten past the camp's magic boundaries. It looked right at home, lying on its belly, growling contentedly as it chewed the head off of a combat dummy. It hadn't noticed me yet, but if I made a sound, I knew it would sense me. There was no time to go for help. I pulled out Riptide and uncapped it. Yeah! I charged. I brought down the blade on the monster's enormous backside, when out of nowhere, another sword blocked my strike. Clang! The hellhound pricked up its ears. Whew! I jumped back and instinctively struck at the swordman. A gray-haired man in Greek armor. He parried my attack with no problem. Whoa there! He said, Truce! Whew! The hellhound's bark shook the arena. That's a hellhound! I shouted. She's harmless, the man said. That's Mrs. O'Leary. I blinked. Mrs. O'Leary? At the sound of her name, the hellhound barked again. I realized she wasn't angry. She was excited. She nudged the soggy, badly chewed target dummy toward the swordsman. Good girl, the man said. With his free hand, he grabbed the armored mannequin by the neck and heaved it toward the bleachers. Get the Greek! Get the Greek! Mrs. O'Leary bounded after her prey and pounced on the dummy, flattening its armor. She began chewing on its helmet. The swordsman smiled dryly. He was in his 50s, I guess, with short gray hair and a clipped gray beard. He was in good shape for an older guy. He wore black mountain climbing pants and a bronze breastplate strapped over an orange camp t-shirt. At the base of his neck was a strange mark, a purplish blotch like a birthmark or a tattoo. But before I could make out what it was, he shifted his armor straps and the mark disappeared under his collar. Mrs. O'Leary is my pet, he explained. I couldn't let you stick a sword in her rump now, could I? That might have scared her. Who are you? Promise not to kill me if I put my sword away? I guess. He sheathed his sword and held out his hand. Quintus. I shook his hand. It was rough as sandpaper. Percy Jackson, I said. Sorry about... How did you, get a hellhound for a pet? Long story, involving many close calls with death, and quite a few giant chew toys. I'm the new sword instructor, by the way, helping out Chiron while Mr. D's away. Oh. I tried not to stare at Mrs. O'Leary, as Mrs. O'Leary ripped off the target dummy's shield with the arm still attached, and shook it like a frisbee. Wait, Mr. D is away?
Yeah, well, busy times. Even Dionysus must help out. He's gone to visit some old friends. Make sure they're on the right side. I probably shouldn't say more than that.
If Dionysus was gone, that was the best news I'd had all day. He was only our camp director because Zeus had sent him here as a punishment for chasing some off-limits wood nymph. He hated the campers and tried to make our lives miserable. With him away, this summer might actually be cool. On the other hand, if Dionysus had gotten off his butt and actually started helping the gods recruit against the Titan threat, things must be looking pretty bad. Off to my left, there was a loud boom. 6 wooden crates the size of picnic tables were stacked nearby, and they were rattling. Mrs. O'Leary cocked her head and bounded toward them.
"Oh, girl,"
Quintus said.
"those aren't for you."
He distracted her with the bronze shield frisbee. The crates thumped and shook. There were words printed on the side, but with my dyslexia, they took me a few minutes to decipher. Triple G Ranch. Fragile. This end up. Along the bottom in small letters, open with care. Triple G Ranch is not responsible for property damage, maiming, or excruciatingly painful deaths. What's in the boxes? I asked.
"A little surprise,"
Quintus said.
"Training activity for tomorrow night. You'll love it."
Okay, I said, though I wasn't sure about the excruciatingly painful death part. Quintus threw the bronze shield, and Mrs. O'Leary lumbered after it.
"You young ones need more challenges. They didn't have camps like this when I was a boy."
You're a half-blood. I didn't mean to sound so surprised, but I'd never seen an old demigod before. Quintus chuckled.
"Some of us do survive to adulthood, you know. Not all of us are the subject of terrible prophecies."
You know about my prophecy?
"I've heard a few things."
I wanted to ask what few things, but just then Chiron clip-clopped into the arena.
"Percy, there you are."
He must have just come from teaching archery. He had a quiver and bow slung over his #1 Centaur t-shirt. He trimmed his curly brown hair and beard for the summer, and his lower half, which was a white stallion, was flecked with mud and grass.
"I see you've met our new instructor."
But there was an uneasy look in his eyes.
"Quintus, do you mind if I borrow Percy?" "Not at all, Master Chiron." "You need not call me master,"
Chiron said, though he sounded sort of pleased.
"Come, Percy. We have much to discuss."
I took one more glance at Mrs. O'Leary, who was now chewing off the target dummy's leg. "Well, see you," I told Quintus. As we were walking away, I whispered to Chiron, "Quintus seems kind of
mysterious,"
Chiron suggested.
"Hard to read."
"Yeah," Chiron nodded.
"A very qualified half-blood. Excellent swordsman. I just wish I understood."
Whatever he was going to say, he apparently changed his mind.
"First things first, Percy. Annabeth told me you met in Percy."
"Yeah." I told him about the fight at Good, and how Kelly had exploded into flames.
Chiron said. "The more powerful ones can do that. She did not die, Percy. She simply escaped. It is not good that the she-demons are stirring." What were they doing there? I asked. Waiting for me? Possibly. Chiron frowned. It's amazing you survived. Their powers of deception. Almost any male hero would have fallen under their spell and been devoured. I would have been, I admitted. Except for Rachel. Chiron nodded. Ironic to be saved by a mortal. Yet we owe her a debt. What the Imposa said about an attack on camp. We must speak further of this. But for now, come. We should get to the woods. Grover will want you there. Where? At his formal hearing. At his formal hearing, Chiron said grimly. The Council of the Cloven Elders is meeting now to decide his fate. Chiron said we needed to hurry, so I let him give me a ride on his back. As we galloped past the cabins, I glanced at the dining hall, an open-air Greek pavilion on a hill overlooking the sea. It was the first time I'd seen the place since last summer, and it brought back bad memories. Chiron plunged into the woods. Nymphs peeked out of the trees to watch us pass. Large shapes rustled in the shadows, monsters that were stalked in here as a challenge to campers. I thought I knew the forest pretty well after playing Capture the Flag for 2 summers. But Chiron took me a way I didn't recognize. Through a tunnel of old willow trees, past a little waterfall, and into a glade blanketed with wildflowers. A bunch of satyrs were sitting in a circle in the grass. Grover stood in the middle, facing 3 really old, really fat satyrs, who sat on topiary thrones shaped out of rose bushes. I'd never seen the 3 old satyrs before, but I guessed they must be the Council of Cloven Elders. Grover seemed to be telling them a story. He twisted the bottom of his t-shirt, shifting nervously on his goat hooves. He hadn't changed much since last winter, maybe because satyrs age half as fast as humans. His acne had flared up. His horns had gotten a little bigger, so they just stuck out over his curly hair. I realized with a start that I was taller than he was now. Standing off to one side of the circle were Annabeth, another girl I'd never seen before, and Clarice. Chiron dropped me next to them. Clarice's stingy brown hair was tied back with a camouflage bandana. If possible, she looked even buffer, like she'd been working out. She glared at me and muttered, "Punk," which must have meant she was in a good mood. Usually she says hello by trying to kill me. Annabeth had her arm around the other girl, who looked like she'd been crying. She was small, petite, I guess you'd call it, with wispy hair, the color of amber, and a pretty, elvish face. She wore a green chiton and laced sandals, and she was dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief. "It's going terribly," she sniffed. She sniffled. "No, no," Annabeth patted her shoulder. "He'll be fine, Juniper." Annabeth looked at me and mouthed the words, "Grover's girlfriend." At least I thought that's what she said. But that made no sense. Grover with a girlfriend? Then I looked at Juniper more closely. I realized her ears were slightly pointed. Her eyes, instead of being red from crying, were tinged green, the color of
chlorophyll. She was a tree nymph, a dryad.
Master Underwood,
The council member on the right shouted, cutting off whatever Grover was trying to say.
do you seriously expect us to believe this?
But, Selenas, Grover stammered, it's the truth. The council guy, Selenas, turned to his colleagues and muttered something. Chiron cantered up to the front and stood next to them. I remembered he was an honorary member of the council, but I'd never thought about it much. The elders didn't look very impressive. They reminded me of the goats in a petting zoo. Huge bellies, sleepy expressions, and glazed eyes that couldn't see past the next handful of goat chow. I wasn't sure why Grover looked so nervous. Selenas tugged his yellow polo shirt over his belly and adjusted himself on his rosebush throne.
Master Underwood, for 6 months, 6 months, we have been hearing these scandalous claims that you heard the wild god Pan speak.
But I did.
Impudence,
said the elder on the left.
No, Mirren,
Chiron said.
Patience. Patience indeed,
Mirren said.
I've had it up to my horns with this nonsense. As if the wild god would speak to him.
Juniper looked like she wanted to charge the old satyr and beat him up, but Annabeth and Clarice held her back. Wrong fight, girlie, Clarice muttered. Wait. I don't know what surprised me more. Clarice holding somebody back from a fight? Or the fact that she and Annabeth, who despised each other, almost seemed like they were working together.
For 6 months, Selenas continued, we have indulged you, Master Underwood. We let you travel. We allowed you to keep your searcher's license. We waited for you to bring proof of your preposterous claim. And we have you. And what have you found in 6 months of travel?
I just need more time.
Nothing.
The elder in the middle chimed in.
You have found nothing.
But Lenia's... Selenas raised his hand. Chiron leaned in and said something to the satyrs. The satyrs didn't look too happy. They muttered and argued amongst themselves, but Chiron said something else, and Selenas sighed. He nodded reluctantly.
Master Underwood,
Selenas announced.
We will give you one more chance.
Grover brightened.
Thank you. 1 more week.
What? But sir, that's impossible.
1 more week, Master Underwood. And then if you cannot prove your claims, it will be time for you to pursue another career. Something to suit your dramatic talents. Puppet theater, perhaps, or tap dancing.
But sir, I can't lose my searcher's license. My whole life.
This meeting of the council is adjourned, Selenas said. And now, let us enjoy our noonday meal.
The old satyr clapped his hands, with a bunch of nymphs, and a bunch of nymphs melted out of the trees with platters of vegetables, fruits, tin cans, and other goat delicacies. The circle of satyrs broke and charged the food. Grover walked dejectedly towards us. His faded blue t-shirt had a picture of a satyr on it, It read, "Got hooves?" "Hi, Percy," he said, so depressed he didn't even offer to shake my hand. "That went well, huh?" "Those old goats," Juniper said. "Oh, Grover, they don't know how hard you've tried."
There is another option, Clarice said darkly.
No, Juniper shook her head. "Grover, I won't let you."
His face was ashen. I'll have to think about it. But we don't even know where to look.
"What are you talking about?" I asked. In the distance, a conch horn sounded. Annabeth pursed her lips. "I'll fill you in later, Percy. We'd better get back to our cabins. Inspection is starting." It didn't seem fair that I'd have to do cabin inspection when I just got to camp. But that's the way it worked. Every afternoon, one of the senior counselors came around with a papyrus scroll checklist. Best cabin got first shower hour, which meant hot water guaranteed. Worst cabin got kitchen patrol after dinner. The problem for me, I was usually the one in the Poseidon cabin. And I'm not exactly what you would call neat. The cleaning harpies only came through on the last day of summer, so my cabin was probably just the way I'd left it on winter break. My candy wrappers and chip bags still on my bunk, my armor for Capture the Flag lying in pieces all around the cabin. I raced toward the commons area, where the 12 cabins, one for each Olympian god, made a U around the central green. The Demeter kids were sweeping out theirs and making fresh flowers grow in their window boxes. Just by snapping their fingers, they could make honeysuckle vines bloom over their doorway and daisies cover their roof, which was totally unfair. I don't think they ever got last place in inspection. The guys in the Hermes cabin were scrambling around in a panic, stashing dirty laundry under their beds and accusing each other of taking stuff. They were slobs, but they still had a head start on me. Over at the Aphrodite cabin, Selena Beauregard was just coming out, checking items off the inspection scroll. I cursed under my breath. Selena was nice, but she was an absolute neat freak. The worst inspector. She liked things to be pretty. I didn't do pretty. I could almost feel my arms getting heavy from all the dishes I would have to scrub tonight. The Poseidon cabin was at the end of the row of male gods, on the right side of the green. It was made of gray shell-encrusted sea rock, long and low like a bunker. But it had windows that faced the sea, and it always had a good breeze blowing through it. I dashed inside, wondering if maybe I could do a quick under-the-bed cleaning job like the Hermes guys. And I found my half-brother Tyson sweeping the floor. "Percy!" he bellowed. He dropped his broom and ran at me. If you've never been charged by an enthusiastic cyclops wearing a flowered apron and rubber cleaning gloves, I'm telling you, it'll wake you up quick. "Hey, big guy," I said. "Oh, watch the ribs, the ribs!" I managed to survive his bear hug. He put me down, grinning like crazy, his single calf-brown eye full of excitement. His teeth were as yellow and crooked as ever, and his hair was a rat's nest. He wore ragged XXXL jeans and a tattered flannel shirt under his flowered apron. But he was still a sight for sore eyes. I hadn't seen him in almost a year, since he'd gone under the sea to work at the Cyclops Forge.
You are okay?
He asked.
Not eaten by monsters?
Not even a little bit. I showed him that I still had both arms and both legs, and Tyson clapped happily.
Yay!
He said.
Now we can eat peanut butter sandwiches and ride fish ponies. We can fight monsters and see Annabeth make things go boo.
I hoped he didn't mean all at the same time, but I told him absolutely. We'd have a lot of fun this summer. I couldn't help smiling. He was so enthusiastic about everything. But first, I said, we've got to worry about inspection. We should... Then I looked around and realized Tyson had been busy. The floor was swept, the bunk beds were made, the saltwater fountain in the corner had been freshly scrubbed so the coral gleamed. On the windowsills, Tyson had set out water-filled vases with sea anemones and strange glowing plants from the bottom of the ocean. More beautiful than any flower bouquet the Demeter kids could come up with. Tyson, the cabin looks... amazing! He beamed.
See the fish ponies? I put them on the ceiling.
A herd of miniature bronze hippocampi hung on wires from the ceiling, so it looked like they were swimming through the air. I couldn't believe Tyson, with his huge hands, could make things so delicate. Then I looked over at my bunk, and I saw my old shield hanging on the wall. You fixed it! The shield had been badly damaged in a manticore attack last winter, but now it was perfect again. Not a scratch. All the bronze pictures of my adventures with Tyson and Annabeth in the Sea of Monsters were polished and gleaming. I looked at Tyson. I didn't know how to thank him. Then somebody behind me said, "Oh my." Selena Beauregard was standing in the doorway with her inspection scroll. She stepped into the cabin, did a quick twirl, then raised her eyebrows at me. Well, I had my doubts, but you clean up nicely, Percy. I'll remember that. She winked at me and left the room. Tyson and I spent the afternoon catching up and just hanging out, which was nice after a morning of getting attacked by demon cheerleaders. We went down to the forge and helped Beckendorf from the Hephaestus cabin with his metalworking. Tyson showed us how he learned to craft magic weapons. He fashioned a flaming double-bladed war axe so fast, even Beckendorf was impressed. While he worked, Tyson told us about his year under the sea. His eye lit up when he described the Cyclops' forges in the palace of Poseidon. But he also told us how tense things were. The old gods of the sea, who'd ruled during the Titan times, were starting to make war on our father. When Tyson had left, battles had been raging all over the Atlantic. Hearing that made me feel anxious, like I should be helping out. But Tyson assured me that Dad wants us both at camp.
Lots of bad people above the sea, too,
Tyson said.
We can make them go boom.
After the forges, we spent some time at the canoe lake with Annabeth. She was really glad to see Tyson, but I could tell she was distracted. She kept looking over at the forest, like she was thinking about Grover's problem with the council. I couldn't blame her. Grover was nowhere to be seen, and I felt really bad for him. Finding the lost god Pan. That had been his lifelong goal. His father and his uncle had both disappeared following the same dream. Last winter, Grover had heard a voice in his head. I will await you. A voice he was sure belonged to Pan. But apparently, his search had led nowhere. If the council took away his searcher's license,
Which language? Arabic, German, Spanish, French, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Brazilian Portuguese, Russian, or Mandarin Chinese.
no.
Okay.
If the council took away his searcher's license now, it would crush him. What's this other way? I asked Annabeth. The thing Clarice mentioned. She picked up a stone and skipped it across the lake. Something Clarice scouted out. I helped her a little this spring, but it would be dangerous, especially for Grover.
Goat Boy scares me.
Tyson murmured. I stared at him. Tyson had face down, fire-breathing bulls, and sea monsters, and cannibal giants. Why would you be scared of Grover?
Hooves and horns.
Tyson muttered nervously.
And goat fur. Makes my nose itchy.
And that pretty much ended our Grover conversation. Before dinner, Tyson and I went down to the sword arena. Quintus was glad to have company. He still wouldn't tell me what was in the wooden crates, but he did teach me a few sword moves. The guy was good. He fought the way some people play chess, like he was putting all the moves together, and you couldn't see the pattern until he made the last stroke and won with a sword at your throat. Good try, he told me, but your guard is too low. He lunged and I blocked. Have you always been a swordsman? He parried my overhead cut. I've been many things. He jabbed and I sidestepped. His shoulder strap slipped down and I saw that mark on his neck. The purple blotch. But it wasn't a random mark. It had a definite shape. A bird with folded wings, like a quail or something. What's on your neck? I asked, which was probably a rude question, but you can blame my ADHD. I tend to just blurt things out. Quintus lost his rhythm. I hit his sword hilt and knocked the blade out of his hand. He rubbed his fingers, and he shifted his armor to hide the mark. It wasn't a tattoo, I realized. It was an old burn, like he'd been branded. A reminder. He picked up his sword and forced a smile. Now, shall we go again? He pressed me hard, not giving me time for any more questions. While he and I fought, Tyson played with Mrs. O'Leary, who he called the little doggy. They had a great time wrestling for the bronze shield and playing Get the Greek. By sunset, Quintus hadn't even broken a sweat, which seemed kind of strange. But Tyson and I were hot and sticky, so we hit the showers and got ready for dinner. I was feeling good. It was almost like a normal day at camp. Then dinner came, and all the campers lined up by cabin and marched into the dining pavilion. Most of them ignored the sealed fissure in the marble floor at the entrance, a 10-foot-long jagged scar that hadn't been there last summer, but I was careful to step over it.
Big crack.
Tyson said when we were at our table.
Earthquake, maybe?
No, I said. Not an earthquake. I wasn't sure I should tell him. It was a secret only Annabeth and Grover and I knew. But looking in Tyson's big eye, I knew I couldn't hide anything from him. Nico D'Angelo, I said, lowering my voice. He's this half-blood kid we brought to camp last winter. He asked me to guard his sister on a quest, and I failed. She died. Now he blames me. Tyson frowned.
So he put a crack in the floor?
The skeletons attacked us, I said. Nico told them to go away, and the ground just opened up and swallowed them. Nico... I looked around to make sure no one was listening. Nico is a son of Hades. Tyson nodded thoughtfully.
The god of dead people.
Yeah.
So, the Nico boy is gone now?
I guess. I tried to search for him this spring. So did Annabeth. But we didn't have any luck. This is secret, Tyson, okay? If anyone found out he was the son of Hades, he would be in danger. You can't even tell Chiron.
The bad prophecy,
Tyson said.
Titans might use him if they knew.
I stared at him. Sometimes it was easy to forget that as big and childlike as he was, Tyson was pretty smart. He knew that the next child of the big three gods, Zeus, Poseidon, or Hades, who turned 16 was prophesied to either save or destroy Mount Olympus. Most people assumed that meant me, but if I died before I turned 16, the prophecy could just as easily apply to Nico. Exactly, I said. So...
Mouth sealed.
Tyson promised.
Like the crack in the ground.
I had trouble falling asleep that night. I lay in bed, listening to the waves on the beach, and the owls and monsters in the woods. I was afraid, once I drifted off, I'd have nightmares. See, for half-bloods, dreams are hardly ever just dreams. We get messages. We glimpse things that are happening to our friends and enemies. Sometimes, we even glimpse the past or the future. And at camp, my dreams were always more frequent and vivid. So I was still awake around midnight, staring at the bunk bed mattress above me, when I realized there's a strange light in the room. The saltwater fountain was glowing. I threw off the covers and walked cautiously towards it. Steam rose from the hot salt water. Rainbow colors shimmered through it, though there was no light in the room except for the moon outside. Then a pleasant female voice spoke from the steam. Please deposit 1 drachma. I looked over at Tyson, but he was still snoring. He sleeps about as heavily as a tranquilized elephant. I didn't know what to think. I'd never gotten a collect iris message before. 1 golden drachma gleamed at the bottom of the fountain. I scooped it up and tossed it through the mist. The coin vanished. "Oh, Iris, goddess of the rainbow," I whispered. "Show me, whatever you need to show me." The mist shimmered. I saw the dark shore of a river,
Wisps of fog drifted across the black water. The beach was strewn with jagged volcanic rock. A young boy squatted at the riverbank, tending a campfire. The flames burned an unnatural blue color. Then I saw the boy's face. It was Nico D'Angelo. He was throwing pieces of paper into the fire. Mytho-magic trading cards. Part of the game he'd been obsessed with last winter. Nico was only 10, or maybe 11 by now, but he looked older. His hair had grown longer. It was shaggy and almost touched his shoulders. His eyes were dark. His olive skin had turned paler. He wore ripped black jeans and a battered aviator's jacket that was several sizes too big, unzipped over a black shirt. His face was grimy, his eyes a little wild. He looked like a kid who'd been living on the streets. I waited for him to look at me. No doubt he'd get crazy angry, start accusing me of letting his sister die. But he didn't seem to notice me. I stayed quiet, not daring to move. If he hadn't sent this iris message, who had? Nico tossed another trading card into the blue flames. Useless, he muttered. Can't believe I ever liked this stuff. A childish game, master, another voice agreed. It seemed to come from near the fire, but I couldn't see who was talking. Nico stared across the river. On the far shore was a black beach shrouded in haze. I recognized it. The underworld. Nico was camping at the edge of the river Styx. The river Styx. I failed, he muttered. There's no way I can get her back. The other voice kept silent. Nico turned toward it doubtfully. Is there? Speak. Something shimmered. I thought it was just firelight. Then I realized it was the form of a man. A wisp of blue smoke and shadow. If you looked at him dead on, he wasn't there. But if you looked out of the corner of your eye, you could make out his shape. A ghost. It's never been done, the ghost said. But there may be a way. Tell me, Nico commanded. His eyes shined with a fierce light. An exchange, the ghost said. A soul. For a soul. I've offered. Not yours, the ghost said. You cannot offer your father a soul he will eventually collect anyway. Nor will he be anxious for the death of his son. I mean, a soul that should have died already. Someone who has cheated death. Nico's face darkened. Not that again. You're talking about murder. I'm talking about justice, the ghost said. Vengeance. Those are not the same thing. The ghost laughed dryly. You will learn differently as you get older. Nico stared at the flames. Why can't I at least summon her? I want to talk to her. She would help me. I will help you, the ghost promised. Have I not saved you many times?
Did I not lead you through the maze and teach you to use your powers? Do you want revenge for your sister or not? I didn't like the ghost's tone of voice. He reminded me of a kid at my old school, a bully who used to convince other kids to do stupid things, like steal lab equipment and vandalize the teacher's cars. The bully never got in trouble himself, but he got tons of other kids suspended. Nico turned from the fire so the ghost couldn't see him, but I could. A tear traced its way down his face. Very well. You have a plan? Oh, yes, the ghost said, sounding quite pleased. We have many dark roads to travel. We must start. The image shimmered. Nico vanished. The woman's voice from the mist said, "Please deposit 1 drachma for another 5 minutes." There were no other coins in the fountain. I grabbed from my pockets, but I was wearing pajamas. I lunged for the nightstand to check for spare change, but the iris message had already blinked out, and the room was dark again. The connection was broken. I stood in the middle of the cabin, listening to the gurgle of the saltwater fountain and the ocean waves outside. Nico was alive. He was trying to bring his sister back from the dead. And I had a feeling I knew what soul he wanted to exchange. Someone who had cheated death. Vengeance. Nico D'Angelo would come looking for me. Sorry, I'm not used to wearing a brimmed cap during the stream, and I definitely bumped the mic a couple times. I don't know how loud that might have been, but I hope it didn't disrupt the reading too much. Phew, well. Nico D'Angelo is an 11-year-old kid capable of murder. Find out next time. When we return with Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth. Yikes, dude. It's so good to have Tyson back. I'm sad though that Annabeth and Percy are at odds with each other. There's no time to reconcile because there's other stuffs going on. And what's up with frickin' Grover? I totally forgot about Grover's significant other. Yeah, we're at a break now. I don't know, I was about to talk about the chapters that we just read though. So there might be a couple spoilers. I'll try to talk vaguely about it. As vaguely as I can. Yeah, this is a little break. This is gonna be the end time for us to discuss the chapters we've read and go ahead and mosey towards the end of the stream. I know this is a much shorter stream than is per usual, but I explained earlier, I'd like to give myself plenty of time to make myself a lunch for tomorrow, wind down, shower, and hit the hay early. Little spoiler time. Not big spoiler time.
Nice. Well, now that we're moving towards the end of the stream, what did everybody think of the chapters? The new book is underway, and I'm so glad you guys could be here to start it with me. I am still disappointed and sad that we weren't able to do D&D tonight, but like most things, having to wait longer for it will make it all the better once it comes next week. It would be cool to be here the whole 2 hours, though. Oh wait, still, if you streamed for more than 2 hours... Oh, still you streamed for more than 2 hours, so thank you. Absolutely, May. Yeah, like I said, I was having a bit of a rough day, so... I did something that I know tends to cheer me up, or at least give me a fair amount of time without thinking about my issues and problems. You know, I think I've said it before. Whenever I'm here with you guys reading stories, especially during the time that I'm reading, suddenly, most of the time, the rest of the world kind of disappears. And it's simply me and the words. And you guys, of course. Which is a good thing. Something that brings me some joy. Thank you, May. I try to be. Well, anybody else got some final comments or things you wanted to throw out there? Favorite part of the night, favorite part of the story, anything like that? I like the short story streams a lot more than the longer books. I totally understand, man. That's why I've cut them down to be just 2 nights out of the week. That way, for those that very much enjoy, you know, following along in a series, can hang out on those nights. But once the weekend hits, you can jump into those short stories. I definitely feel like the short story ones are easier to approach, you know. Having it be, yeah, like one-shot stories makes it easier to come in and, yeah, I don't know, stick around for one story or maybe a few. And it's more of a finalized thing too. Like we don't wind up leaving on cliffhangers or anything like that. More of a succinct thing where the stream is one cohesive deal. Cool. Oof for the breaks. What? I'm confused by that comment. I do not know what a cool oof is. Forgive me. I may be I may be not with the times. Also, I don't know if they were there last stream. I forget. But we have our 4... I think they were, weren't they? We have our 4 emotes for those of you that subbed. Just pretty cool. I'm glad those went through. It went through quicker than I thought they would too. It's real nice. Got the book on face one, the money one, and yeah, the Jotaro, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, going going solar, and then the one that is the words image. That Alright. Yeah. Can I do it with a hat? Hang on. We'll find out. Well, thank you, Sonor, for initiating book on face. Ah. Rest in peace. Yeah, little do you guys know, I actually die for a split second there. It's like an off button for me. I'm like a robot. The book goes on the face. Shut down. Oh shoot, actually I misread that. That's NP, not RIP. Ugh. Sorry, I'm wearing glasses and I still can't read. Shoot. Yeah, I always feel, I feel super bad whenever I stumble across words or phrases in the book or in a short story. I tend to kick myself because I'm like, dude, what the heck, man? You're which is funny because I'm the only one kicking myself. But I think it just comes from me wanting to do my best. If I stumble upon a word, it feels like I have not done so. Thank you. I appreciate it, Sonor. Yeah. With it being live, that's what I tell myself too. That's how I get over it. With it being live, there's bound to be some trip ups. Well, cool beans. Cool beans, cool beans. You guys want to raid Daniel Wayne again? Yeah. I saw the text message. Did you send it through Discord too? Oh. Well. Yeah, before we wind up ending the stream. Oh. Ooh, that is good. Alright, give me a moment. Ba-ba-da-ba. Alright, so check this out. This is from Keitanamore. He's been doodling a scene. So May, I don't know. This might be a spoiler. We won't describe like what's going on in it, but for those of you that followed all the way through to the end of the last book, you'll know where this is from. Whoop. Majorly big. Oh no, dude, I'm freaking squashing and stretching it. Hang on, dude. Oh frick. Oh gosh. Oh golly. Check that out. There we go. It does not suck. I agree. It's the furthest thing from soak. Man. It's so good, dude. See if we can zoom in here. Ooh. Can't math well enough. If I just stretch it, it'll... Yeah, frick, dude. I can't do the thing where you hold shift to make sure it doesn't squash and stretch. I don't know how to do that yet with OBS. I'll tell you what might make it easier though. There we go. Hey, there we go. Thank you, Carol. Oh, this is also not my art. I want to clarify. This is from Keitanamore. In the chat. Yeah, I know, I be getting Facebooked all the time. Look at this man's. Dang, the emotion on the face is so good. And you even got the Camp Half-Blood shirt. Ooh! Ooh! So good, dude. Sick. Radical. The grid. I agree. Some good art. I can't wait to see how it turns out. Or even if you leave it as that, it's impressive as all get out. Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, also welcome back, Coleo. Nice. I'm not entirely sure what screen toning is, but sounds super cool. And I do know what texturing is, though. That'll be tight. Oh, baby. Here we go again. Oh yeah. I done been faced in my book. You know what I'm saying? Oh yes. Anytime you guys please. I will in fact put a book on my face. It's a good thing. I do actually enjoy the book on face thing. As I've said in the past, like it allows a moment of respite for me. 30 solid seconds of eyes closed and deep breaths. Those actually look pretty good lined up with each other. Ah. Well, nice. Caro, I think, did you just get here? Or have you been hanging out? Ah. Well, sadly we are moving towards the end of the stream. Ah. Well, I apologize. It might have to be not live. Well, you code and cry. Shoot, dude. Coding does not sound fun. Is there a way to make it fun? At all? Or is it just something to grind through? To be grinded? Grinded. Yeah. We would have been going much later tonight. But alas. Yeah, I don't know if I would ever code. If that makes sense. Like I think I could learn it and do it. I set my mind to it. But I wouldn't. I would not. Very brain hurty. Well, definitely don't drink sleepy time tea like me. You will get ever more tired until you fall asleep. Been learning to code for EE. For E. E. Heck yeah. I love coding for E. 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 Mm. What all do you code for electrical engineering? Is it for programs and whatnot, or is it to figure out that's electrical, electrical engineering. I might have missed an electrical in there. My bad. Electrical to the umpteenth power engineering. Microcontrollers. Nice. Gonna be honest, I don't know what a microcontroller is or how it differs from a macro controller. Elephants eating electrical engineers eventually end everything. Yeah, now we're talking. I knew it was an acronym. Like a little computer. Huh. So, wait, what? I thought it was a little controller. Little controllers for little computers? Dude, I haven't even scratched the surface, and my brain is already hurting. Whew. Oof. It does sound cool, though. Like a circuit board or something. Nice. Just do web design. I do know Python, but not fluently. Nice. I don't know how to do the web design either. No clue. I can do the artsy stuff behind it, I guess. I could create some graphics. Doodle up some stuff. Or I could design it, but I don't think I could actually structure it. Bleh. That's cool, Carol. I didn't even know you knew coding in general. That's rad. Radical. Radical and cool. Well, okay, guys. I went a little bit longer, seeing as a fair amount more peeps showed up and started chitting and chatting. But you're full of secrets. Ooh, mysterious. Well, we all have our secrets, I presume. I don't know. Secrets not to be told live on Twitch. Well, alright, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and jump off for the night. I'm gonna hit the hay. Wish me luck at work tomorrow. Caro, best of luck with your coding. I heard that you're tired, but I pray that it goes well. Thank you, Sonor. Thank you, May. Thank you, Caro. Thank you, Cramples. Or sorry, Chimperor. And thank you, Silly. Thank you all for being here. Yeah. It means a lot that, though our main oh goodness. That it means a lot that though our main programming isn't on tonight, that you guys would still come around and hang out. Listen to a little reading, little Percy Jackson. This has been fun, and it certainly, I don't know, brightened my day a bit. So thank you. And hope to see you tomorrow for Fantasy Friday. It's okay. Hay is soft. Oh yeah. Those are a good 2 first chapters. Oh yeah. Well, alright guys. again, thank you so much. And remember to take the merriment that we create today and put it on your face like a book and take it into the bed with you and then bring it and let it flourish into the morrow. Alright. Cool beans. Don't know if you heard any of that, but take the merriment we created tonight and be sure to bring it with you into the morrow. Why not? I love everybody here at the stream so much, and hope to see you tomorrow. Much love, guys. And until next time, keep on swaying, my wildflowers. See ya.